Sairam students, welcome back. Okay, so today we'll be going ahead with our second part of our chapter 6 conflict with the Mughals. Fine. Now, in our first part, we have learned as to how the conflict started. Yes, we learned about the invasion of Jai Singh, and then also we learned as to how Shasta Khan also invaded the Maratha territory and how Shivaji Maharaj he encountered with him and made him get humiliated, and then how Shasta Khan was transferred to go to Bengal. Okay, now today we'll be going ahead with a very interesting episode, you can say very interesting part of the history of Shivaji Maharaj. And what is that? We'll just see. Yes, it is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj escape from Agra. Yes, now how did Shivaji Maharaj go to Agra? How did he come in contact with the emperor, and how did the process of meeting or Emperor Aurangzeb went ahead, and what happened later on? It's all there in this very interesting part of Shivaji Maharaj escape from Agra. Okay, now when Shivaji Maharaj, see, according to the Treaty of Purandar, Shivaji Maharaj had agreed to help Jai Singh in his campaign against Adil Shah. But this campaign of Jai Singh was not successful, right? So what happened after this? Since this campaign was unsuccessful, Jai Singh and Aurangzeb felt that Shivaji Maharaj ought to be kept away at least for some time from the Deccan politics. Yes, so they did not want Shivaji Maharaj to interfere in the politics of Deccan, because the role of Shivaji Maharaj was very influential. He could influence anybody, yes, and get them over to their side. So this would have been, very would have been a disadvantage for the Mughals. So Jai Singh and Aurangzeb felt that Shivaji Maharaj need to be kept away from the Deccan politics. And what did they plan? Okay, so what did he do? Jai Singh proposed Shivaji Maharaj to visit Agra and meet the Emperor Aurangzeb. And not only meeting that, Jai Singh also guaranteed about the security of Shivaji Maharaj, the safety of Shivaji Maharaj. Yes. Now, while doing this, Shivaji Maharaj readily agreed. Yes, Shivaji Maharaj was accompanied by Prince Sambhaji and few of his trusted people who were ready to risk their lives for him. So Shivaji Maharaj agreed to go to Agra, and he did not go alone. Along with him were his trusted people as well as Prince Sambhaji, son of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and trusted people who were ready to risk their lives for him. Shivaji Maharaj was not treated with due honor in the emperor's court, and Maharaj gave vent to his anger. Aurangzeb put him under house arrest. Maharaj devised a plan of escaping from this house arrest. Okay, now Shivaji Maharaj had come to Agra. He visited the emperor at the court, but since he was the king of Swaraj, he was not treated accordingly, treated with honor. So Shivaji Maharaj got very angry and he gave vent to his rage. Means he showed his anger in the emperor's court, and he walked away from the emperor's court when the court was there. So that Aurangzeb was humiliated because of this action of Shivaji Maharaj. And as a result of this, what did Aurangzeb do? Aurangzeb put him under house arrest. Yes, Shivaji Maharaj was staying at a place, so he was kept under house arrest, not allowed to go out of that house. And now since Shivaji Maharaj was kept under house arrest, there was Prince Sambhaji with him, and some of his trusted people were also there. So he need to go out of this house arrest. So for that he devised a plan for escaping this house arrest. Now what was that plan? That plan was so a very good plan, which even the emperor couldn't think of that. How could Shivaji Maharaj come with such a fantastic plan? Okay, so the plan was such that Shivaji Maharaj he fell ill. He showed that he is very ill and he wanted to get himself cured. So for this, what did he do? He started sending sweets, yes, for his recovery to temples, baskets of sweets. So all these baskets were checked regularly after it was being sent. The soldiers of Aurangzeb checked it regularly, and at some times they also devoured these delicacies as well. They had a taste of these sweets as well. Okay, so this went on for a long for many days. Yes, and then these soldiers also got tired, and then when Shivaji Maharaj came to know that these soldiers are no longer checking the baskets, what did he do? He and Sambhaji Maharaj, they entered into one of the sweet basket. Yes, and then from there, that day also the soldiers did not check the sweet baskets and they escaped from the house arrest. Okay, so this is how he came up. He first, made them believe that really sweets are being sent. Okay, and then at a point of time when the soldiers stopped checking the basket, Shivaji Maharaj knew that it was time for them to escape from there. So he himself and Sambhaji Maharaj, two baskets, they got inside those baskets, and these baskets were taken out of that house. And since these, they would get suspicious, as nobody is there in the house. So what did do he, one of his trusted men, he disguised himself as Shivaji Maharaj and was lying there. And these two people also, with some plan, they also escaped from the house over there. And after Shivaji Maharaj escaped from Agra, what did he do? He had Prince Sambhaji with him, isn't it? So while returning from Raigad, Shivaji Maharaj left Sambhaji Raje at Mathura. So when Shivaji Maharaj was going to Raigad, he left Sambhaji Raje at Mathura. After a few days, Shivaji Maharaj reached Maharashtra safely. So when he came to Raigad, he did not bring Sambhaji Raje along with him. He left him at Mathura because it was very risky. Yes, because it was but obvious that the Mughals would come to know that Shivaji Maharaj had escaped from the house arrest, so they would follow him. So he left Sambhaji Raje at Mathura and reached Maharashtra safely. And after some time, Sambhaji Maharaj was also brought safely to Raigad. Okay, so this was the escape of the story of, or you can say the fact, the bold plan as to how Shivaji Maharaj escaped from the clutches and from the house arrest of Emperor Aurangzeb. Fine. The next we have on the offensive against Mughals. Yes, remember the Treaty of Purandar which we had talked, 23 forts along with the territory of which would get a revenue of 4 lakh horns. So what did Shivaji Maharaj do to get these forts back? That is, we will be learning about that in the offensive against the Mughals. Okay. Now, after returning from Agra, Maharaj did not want any conflict with the Mughals. Okay. So, however, he wanted to recapture the forts and territories given to the Mughals as per the Purandar Treaty. So, whatever forts were handed over to the Mughals as per the Treaty of Purandar, he wanted those to recapture these forts as well. Okay. So, when he did not want to have any conflict with the Mughals, he only wanted his territory and he wanted his forts back with him. So, what did Shivaji Maharaj plan? What did he do? As per his strategy, Maharaj wanted to capture the forts by sending a well-equipped army on one hand, on the other hand, to keep the Mughals unstable by invading the territories of the Deccan under their control. So he came up with a plan. On one hand, he wanted to capture, he sent a well-equipped army to get hold over, to capture the fort. And on the other hand, the territories which were under in the Deccan, which were under the Mughals' control, he also kept invading those territories. So the Mughals were unstable, either to pay attention to the territories or to pay attention to the forts. So this led to the recapture of several forts like Sinhgarh, Purandar, Lohagarh, Mahuli, Karnala and Rohida. So these were the important forts which Shivaji Maharaj recaptured again. Okay, Surat was also attacked the second time. Remember the first attack of Surat, where Shivaji Maharaj went to Surat and brought a huge booty from there without bothering the common people. Yes, so Surat was attacked for the second time, and Maharaj defeated Daud Khan at Wadi Dindori in Nashik district. So this were the activities against the Mughals which Shivaji Maharaj brought into to get back his territories and as well as the forts. Yes. So here we have some forts. See, this is the Sinhgarh fort, the fort of Mahuli, and then the Lohagarh fort. These were the forts which were taken by Shivaji Maharaj. Sinhgarh fort, yes, was known as Torna. It was later named as Sinhgarh after the sacrifice and bravery and valor of Tanaji Malusare. Yes, so it was named after Tanaji Malusare. Shivaji Maharaj gave the fort the name Sinhgarh. What he said as per Sinhgarh, Gad Alapan Sinhagela. So that is why he named that fort as Sinhgarh. The other forts which were captured was Karnala, Triambakgarh and Rohida. This fort of Triambakgarh was captured by Moropant Pingle. Yes, So these were the forts which were some of the forts which were recaptured by Shivaji Maharaj. Going ahead, Moropant Pingle captured Triambakgarh near Nashik. Shivaji Maharaj was successful in the offensive that he had launched against the Mughals. Sardars such as Tanaji Malusare, Moropant Pingle, Pratap Rao Gujar made a valuable contribution in these offensive. And this of campaign is described as he took as many as 27 forts in 4 months and earned a great reputation for himself. This was written by Anant Sabasar. Yes, it is one of the chronicles, Bakhar. Yes, so we have learnt about Bakhar in the first lesson of history. Yes, a chronicle. So this, according to that chronicle, it is written as he took as many as 27 forts in a period of only 4 months and brought great reputation for himself. Great name, Shivaji Maharaja. He had handed over 23 forts. How many forts did he take back? 27 forts, isn't it? So the people who helped him was Tanaji Malusare, Pratap Rao Gujar, Moropant Pingle, many others were also there who contributed their part in getting in the offensive against the Mughals. So this offensive against the Mughals, which was launched by Shivaji Maharaj, was very successful. Yes, and this brought a great name to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Okay, next, coronation. After a relentless struggle for 30 years for the founding of Swaraj, so after a relentless struggle for 30 years for the founding of Swaraj, Maharaj realized that it was necessary for Swaraj to win general recognition as a sovereign independent state. For this, a formal coronation was necessary. So on 6 June 1674, he had himself coronated at Raigad by Gagabhat, who was a learned Pandit. Okay, so for 30 long years for the laying the foundation of Swaraj, Shivaji Maharaj realized that Swaraj needed a general recognition as a sovereign independent state. Yes, so for this a formal coronation was necessary. So because of that reason, Shivaji Maharaj got himself coronated on 6 June 1674 at Raigad near by Gagabhat, who was a learned Pandit. Okay, and now he became the Chhatrapati of Swaraj. After getting himself coronated, Shivaji Maharaj became the Chhatrapati of Swaraj. Okay, so here we have the image of during the coronation of Shivaji Maharaj. You can see even the foreigners were there. Yes, so many people were invited for this important occasion of the coronation of Chhatrapati, coronation ceremony of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Okay, going ahead. Next, as a symbol of sovereignty, the Rajyabhishek Shaka, that is known as the coronation era, was started. On this occasion, special coins were minted, a gold coin called Horn and a copper coin called Shivrai with the legend Sri Raja Shiva Chhatrapati inscribed on them. So two types of coins were minted. One was the gold coin, which was called as Horn, and the other was a copper coin, which was known as Shivrai with the legend inscribed. The legend was Sri Raja Shiva Chhatrapati. This was inscribed on the coins. Thereafter, all royal correspondence, that is the Rajyapatra, carried the words Kshatriya Kulvansana Sri Raja Shiva Chhatrapati. So like you have this Rajyapatra, means the official documents which were there. So they carried these words Kshatriya Kulvansana Sri Raja Shiva Chhatrapati. Okay. So here we have the image of the gold coin which was minted after Shivaji Maharaj got himself coronated, that is the Horn, and the copper coin known as Shivrai. Yes, you can see over here the children the images of Horn and Shivrai. Okay, going ahead. Rajya Vyavahar Kosh, a dictionary showing Sanskrit alternatives for Persian words, was also prepared. So some Persian words were used. So what was the meaning? So a dictionary which had the Sanskrit alternatives for these Persian words was prepared, and that was known as the Rajya Vyavahar Kosh. Shortly after this, on 24th September 1674, Shivaji Maharaj had his second coronation performed under the guidance of Nishchalpuri Gosavi. So one ceremony he had in the month of June, same year 1674. Second coronation ceremony was also performed on 24th September 1674 under the guidance of Nishchal Puri Gosavi. Now, why did Shivaji Maharaj get himself coronated twice? The reason was Maharaj honored both traditions of religious ceremony in India, that is the Vedic and the Tantric, and therefore he had two ceremonies performed, one according to the Vedic religious beliefs and one according to the Tantric ceremonies. So, therefore, he had two coronation ceremonies because he believed, he honored both the traditions, both the religious ceremonies in India, that is the Vedic as well as the Tantric. Now, the campaign of the South. What happened in the campaign of the South? In October 1677, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj undertook a campaign of the South. He went to Golconda, called on the Qutub Shah, and entered into a treaty of friendship with him. This Qutub Shah, remember we had learnt about the Bahmani kingdom, which was later on disintegrated into 5 different powers, isn't it? So Adil Shah, then we had Nizam Shah, Qutub Shah, Bharat Shah, and what was the other one? Fifth one? Yes, children, can you remember the fifth one? Yes, so 5 Bahmani powers, the Bahmani powers disintegrated 5. So one was Qutub Shah, and this Qutub Shah, Shivaji Maharaj entered into a friendship treaty with him. Okay. Later, Maharaj won Bengaluru, Hoskote in Karnataka, Jinji, Vellore, etc. forts in today's Tamil Nadu and some other territories of Adil Shah. So this campaign, he went against in the offensive against the Mughals. There he was successful. Then the campaign towards the south was also very successful, where he won Bengaluru, Hoskote, Jinji, Vellore forts in Tamil Nadu as well as other territories in of Adil Shah. Venkaji, the half-brother of Shivaji Maharaj, was the then ruler of Tanjavur. Maharaj tried to get him to participate in the activities of the Swaraj. Later, after Venkaji Raje, the rulers of Tanjavur encouraged art and learning, and the Saraswati Mahal library there is world famous. So, in the south also, Shivaji Maharaj wanted to expand Swaraj. So, he asked his half-brother Venkaji Raje to get into to participate in the activities of Swaraj. Later on, the rulers of Tanjore encouraged art and learning, and in today's time, they had the Saraswati library, Mahal library, which was built at that time, which is world famous today. Yes, we have the image of Saraswati Mahal library. This is the Saraswati Mahal library at Tanjore, which is a world famous library. Okay, now in this campaign of the south, Maharaj had annexed the fort of Jinji in Tamil Nadu to his Swaraj, which proved of great importance in later years. When did it prove important of, you can say, of utility? We'll be learning in our lessons ahead. After the victorious campaign of the south, Shivaji Maharaj passed away on Raigad on 3rd April 1680. His death at the age of 50 was a great loss for Swaraj. So, after the successive campaign in the south, which was in the year 1677, later on in the year 1680, only at the age of 50, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj passed away. And this death, his early death at the age of 50, was a great loss for Swaraj. Yes, even Emperor Aurangzeb was, you can say, not though Shivaji Maharaj was his enemy, Emperor Aurangzeb also was not happy at the death of Shivaji Maharaj, because he believed that he had lost a person, a worthy enemy to be fought against. That was the reaction of Aurangzeb as well. And this death of Shivaji Maharaj was a great loss to Swaraj. But even though it was a great loss of Swaraj, his son Sambhaji Maharaj also did a great work for expanding Swaraj, and also for to see how Swaraj would be prove beneficial for the people as well. So this is what we have in our lesson today, children. The conflict with the Mughals. Yes, we learnt about the Surat campaign. We learnt about Shaista Khan's invasion, Jai Singh's invasion. We learnt about the escape from Agra, then the offensive against the Mughals, and the coronation of Shivaji Maharaj. 2 coronations took place, as well as his campaign towards the south, which was very successful and annexing many parts of Tamil Nadu, the fort of Jinji. All this proved to be helpful in the later years for the successors of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj to take advantage of all these things. So, this is what we have learned in our lesson number 6, conflict with the Mughals. So, I hope children you have understood this lesson. Yes, we'll be coming back again, meet again with a new lesson in our next session. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Sai Ram children, have a good day.